Hello friends, welcome to Exampur. I hope my voice is audible, screen is visible, everything is set. Just do let me know so that I can proceed with the lecture. So guys, first of all, we are going to I just want to let you know about the Exampur app. You'll get to see this app. You just have to go through these 6 steps in order to install the app. Why you should do that? You will get to see different kind of advantages and benefits out of the app which is available for free. At least we can access the amenities that is given for free. We can take the full advantage out of it. Good morning, Aditya. Okay, so today we are going to discuss regarding the universal basic income. This is again in the highlights nowadays. So I just want to let you know about the following perspective, why this is important from the point of view of prelims, what you need to keep in mind with respect to prelims as well as with respect to the mains. Okay. Okay, so what we are going to talk about universal basic income. What do you mean by it? First of all, you should be aware about economic survey. You should be aware about and the corruption, purchasing power, inflation. These are the terminologies you need to know about the terminologies with respect to the prelim. Okay, you could be asked as per the given pointers. And with respect to means, what you should go for it, like you can be asked for the critical analysis in a positive sense. Why you want to talk in a favorable way? You could be asked for the favorable point of view and the against factor. Why this is a positive indicator if we are implying this universal basic income in our country, and how you can consider it as the negative factor if you are implying the universal basic income in your country. Okay, how it could play a productive role if you want to make the establishment of and future of UBI income across the world, and how it is being undertaken on the global scenario if you do talk about. Getting my point? So, what kind of a question could be formed out of the topic? Suppose I just want to let you know with respect to the current update, what is there in the limelight. Especially if we do talk about the universal basic income, we are going to talk about the positives and negatives about them. But somewhere UBI too. In other form, if we are taking the UBI, we are taking under the income, periphery, universal, basic income. Instead of specifying the word income over here, if we are replacing it by the insurance, universal basic insurance, it would be more helpful. It would be more helpful not only for the productivity criteria but also for the employment basis, which is need of hour. Okay, this is not only important from the point of view of productivity, but also for the employment opportunity. Getting my point? Why is it so? What all ingredients and components are part of it? We are going to make the three specification over here. It is talking about the food security, whether they are getting the access of food or not. And second is about their well-being, health security. If this is all right, then they would be more concerned about income security. These three are the main bases which are working on the targets of SDG. S, poverty, working on these targets. Hunger and then health. First three targets of SDG. So, universal basic income, this is one of the major important topic. And why you can just make the analysis and what kind of ingredient you should opt for it, or this things are under the current update. Now we'll try to understand what had been asked in the question. What has been asked in the question? Can universal basic income be an effective tool for eradicating poverty from India? Critically analysis. Problem, concern and main issue of our country is not only to eradicate the poverty basis things. We need to work in interconnectivity. Getting my point? If you have to make the economy prosperous, you should make the economy interconnected. The way if you are working in more and more on the UBI pattern, instead of going for the income basis, you are providing the insurance. It is not only fulfilling the need of people, which is eradicating the poverty. If they are getting concerned about the health scenario, health security, means somewhere they are looking at the health perspective. And if they are quite well in the condition of health, they would be provided the income basis. And if they are providing the income basis, it is eradicating the hunger basis. Okay, so things are working hand in hand. Things are working simultaneously at a time. If you are working for insurance, it is not only getting the income idly sitting there and you are getting the income. Suppose I am not working anywhere but I am receiving income. It would be considered as idle resource is gaining something. That is for free. This is not at all building not only the productivity but also not generating the basis that whether they will regain the stamina or revive the capacity to work again. Getting my point? Instead, if we are making the more focus on the insurance basis, they can put forward their mind towards the capacity gain. They are building the capacity by improving the health and trying to eradicate the hunger basis. If we continue to provide the income that is for free, it is not at all going to build the productivity basis. It is not at all going to make the sustainable basis. Till the time we are not at all working on the sustainable basis, it is not going to work. Okay. So what we have been asked, like universal, how it can play an effective role. You have to just provide the positive features as well. You have to write in a favorable arguments. You have to write in a favorable way for India. Critically analyze means you need to make the constructive criticism. If this is good, why is it so? And you have to make the positive perspective on that behalf. Okay, so this was the current update. We can make the formulation of this was the analysis that was totally apart from the question which has been asked. Now we are coming on the question. What is being asked in the question? Suppose first of all what you have to write about introductory part. Why this topic has come into the limelight. First of all, you have to just talk about the UBI and disruptive technologies. The way we are moving towards the technology, whether it is about the digitalization, as it is talking about the accessibility, that we are trying to make the extension in the reachability of ourselves. Number two, if we are moving towards the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence, which do not require more and more human capital. Getting my point? So somewhere if you are moving towards the artificial intelligence, no doubt it is providing the booster to the economy. It is adding to the scenario of service sector. But we should not forget about the fact our economy is labor intensive in nature. We are so abundant in that factor. We have to somewhere provide the provisions for labor to have the access of job opportunities. Okay, so you need to work on that periphery, but we are somewhere ignoring the fact about it and reducing the human capital. We are moving towards the sector which are totally neglecting the human capital requirements. Number two, UBI. We are trying to make the emphasis on the UBI pattern as we are moving towards the sector which is not at all labor intensive. Suppose if we want to talk about the software industries, we want to talk about the pharmaceutical industries, one of the leading industry in the entire world, and automobile secured the number 5th position in the entire world, expecting to reach at 3rd position by the year 2030. All these sectors are capital intensive in nature, but we are abundant in labor. Why we are not thinking about that segment? Just because of infrastructure segment we are talking about? No. We should not do so far because it is not at all going to make the thing sustainable. Getting my point? So somewhere whenever we are thinking about our economics, we should not only taking the things along for the perspective of growth only. We cannot do it. Just because if this growth factor is not accommodating the people, the common people, it is not going to lead the prosperity in our country. Due to this reason, we have gotten forced to make the universal basic income. We have forced to think about the solution of the upcoming problem, which is coming in the name of lagging in the job opportunity. Is it so? Yes, this is so. It is spreading the base for the poverty, wherein we are talking about the eradication of this poverty factor. Okay, so UBI factor we are talking about underperforming, where various programs we are continuously making the expansion of, like whatever kind of food security programs we are providing, and many a times we are providing the subsidies. Food subsidies secured the number 5th position in terms of expenses being made by government in order to eradicate the poverty part, working for the scenario of hunger. These kind of possibilities are being raised by government. Especially they are allocating their budget portion in the welfare programs, which is underperforming in nature. So we should think about it and we should not move. If it has been asked in question that we have to give the positive clicks on the UBI in the form of eradication of poverty, we have to just tell the favorable arguments in that format. But being an economist, being an economic student, you have to just think about like it wouldn't work for the sustainable basis if we are taking the universal income along. Then this was the background, what was the condition. Due to that reason, universal basic income has to come into the picture. Then now you need to understand the point. What do you mean by universal basic income? You just need to understand the meaning of universal income, like what is the basic need or requirement. We are trying to eradicate the poverty basis, right? So you should avail the resources so that you can fulfill your requirements or need. So in order to fulfill the requirement, you should be given the financial assistance. You should be given the policy framework. Is it necessary to give? Yes, we are moving towards such kind of technology which is not at all creating the job opportunities. If this is not happening so, or whatever growth is taking place due to these artificial intelligence and whatever industries we are developing, which is capital intensive in nature, which is inculcating the growth, like increment in the growth. Somewhere, what is the use of that increment in growth? Is it making any significant, it is playing any significant role for common people? Not at all. If it is not at all playing the significant role for the common people, what is the use of gaining growth? in the Indian economy. We need to understand that if we are not able to provide the employment basis, we have to provide the certain like a significant role for the especially the income basis for the citizens whosoever are not getting the job possibilities. We have to provide the pre-hand services to people. So that basic income should be provided to cover their needs so that they can come out of the poverty, which has been asked in the question, how the universal income can help out to eradicate the poverty part. You just have to provide the pre-hand services by providing income, and you just to the citizens. And this topic has come into the picture, when this topic has come into the picture, that was in the year of 2016 and 17. So it has been announced or was in news in year 2016 and 17. And again, I just want to let you know about some pointers that Survey of India, Economic Survey of India, trying to tell you about the highlights that UBI liberates citizens from paternalist and clientelist relation with the states. The way it is going to provide the privilege in the hand of people that yes, they can access the resources and would be in that condition to come out of the poverty. This is the main concern what is being asked in the question. Next point, what are the 4 ingredients and components we can talk about? Universalization means things has to go in pace. It has to be given to the people whosoever is there in picture. Instead, like we are not making the substitution of the programs by giving the income. Suppose it is not like that we are providing the universal income, but now we will stop making expenses on the programs given by the government. No, it would be treated as the supplements. These programs will continue to run for the poverty eradication programs would continue to run. But along with these, you would be provided the supplements. You would be provided what? Supplementary policy in the form of income, where you can just, it is being made on the universality. Means it is universal in nature, it would be given to all. Periodic payment should be regular. The way you are receiving the salary on regular basis, it would be treated as the salary, and the individuality basis. No condition should be applicable on such kind of programs, because many times what you get to live, if you are imposing any kind of condition, it is somewhere restricting the person to take the advantage out of the services given by the government. Okay, so such kind of a condition should be eliminated so that people could get a grip on the program, whatever being given by the government. Next is all about why is there a growing debate over UPI in India? Obviously, this is a topic of debate. This is a topic of debate for from anywhere and from every concern. India was dependent totally on the subsidies. Continuously it is raising. You will get shocked to hear about that. India is making expenditure approximately, Indian states, I would say, Indian states is making expenditure approximately from 75 to 80%, 85% only on the revenue expenses, which includes interest payment. Most of the loans what we have taken on which we are required to make payment of interest, These interest payments I'm talking about, and the pension schemes we can talk about, and the subsidies we are providing to make expansion. Subsidies just to make expansion in the production. These are the portion. This is where we are making the investment approximately of 75 to 85%. It is lagging between this slot. Next point is all about how much we are spending on the capital formation. This is only the productive segment which can make the things prosperous, as it would be giving, it would provide a basis of employment opportunity. But we are only making expenditure approximately 5 to 15% in this segment. So what we are talking about here is, why is there growing debate? Because dependent on the subsidies, transfer payment to help those at the bottom of society. As we are providing many programs by the central government, account for large chunk of budgetary allocation. We are on number 5th. We are on number 5th in terms of food subsidies in the expense. It is the largest 5th number transaction. It is the largest 5th number allocation we are spending on the food subsidies. And large number of these programs are fragmented by the administrative leakages. Next, additionally, what we can think about corruption and waste in the PDS system, the way we have just talked about the PDS, that surplus is available. We are in condition to make us export to the other countries who are in need. So, at the time of fulfilling the requirement of our domestic need, we are not that keen to make investment. We are not in we are not that keen to make this interest to fulfill the requirements of common people which are at bottom. But we just want to fulfill the requirement of people just to gain the privilege in the international scenario. So this is all corruption and waste happening in the criteria at the side of public distribution system. Replacing these subsidies with cash transfer would ensure at the very least that recipients are getting intended monetary benefits as well as freedom of choice. If you will be given income, if you are replacing the subsidies, if you are replacing the cash transfers, instead of you are providing the income, you would have full privilege where to spend, when to spend. You would be given autonomy on the spending wherever you would like to do it. And you have to just give the argument in favor of UBI as it is given in the question. So, social justice, is it a social justice? Like, you are providing the income in everybody's hand. In everybody's hand. But if you are only giving the income to do these two people and you are neglecting these two parts, it is not considered as the social justice. If 60 students are there in class, but 30 is performing so well and 15 is not at all performing good and 15 is on average. So you can look at the segment. They are not performing very well. They are not at all considered the inclusive part of that class. So what do we want to say? That if we have to establish the social justice, it has to become reachable to the every segment. So universal income is providing the income, or it is giving the value to the society and giving a kind of freedom. By giving the income, you are free to use your income in whatever level you just want to use it. Instead of providing subsidies, instead of providing cash transfers, you can just use the mean of UBI. So favorable point of view, you have to make the establishment of, in case of social justice, you can just use this concept. Administrative efficiency. administrative efficiency, UPI will reduce the burden of financing a plethora of separate government schemes. Like if we are making that programs such as programs and various subsidies and the cash transfer, if we are eliminating these and instead of that we are replacing these with the UPI, somewhere you can make the administrative efficiency, you can loosen the burden of government, and they can divert their mind towards the productive task. And misallocation and leakages which do take place at the time of programs and at the time of cash transfer subsidies, they would directly reach to the beneficiary account if you are taking the help of UBI. And monitoring the UBI would be easier than many other policies. Number of policies you will get to see on the economy. But it is so difficult as many of the policies are there. It is making the process cumbersome, and misallocation leakages do take place. Due to that reason, corruption is coming out. And in order to eradicate these, we can make the complex process in a simpler way. At least UPI would be comparatively more easier if than these schemes undertaken in the scenario. Next is employment is acknowledgement of the government duty to guarantee a minimum living standard. This is the government duty to provide the at least minimum, to fulfill the at least minimum requirement of the people. As per the Article 43, this is the responsibility of government to fulfill the minimum living standard, even more urgent in era of uncertain employment generation. As I have discussed about that, if we are even exploring our economy growth, we are making upgradation in growth. Not at all it is providing the employment basis. It is not at all providing the employment basis. So it is not providing the standard of living to the people. Open up the new base for the labor market. Non-exploitative bargaining will no longer be forced to accept any working condition. Getting my point? This is a kind of advantage on behalf of labor, that they would not be given such task which is not in their favor. If this is so, they would they have the option to neglect it. They have the option to reject it. Next is all about insurance against the shocks. Whatever crop loss is taking place and whatever disease like pandemic and natural calamity is happening, you get to see in case of Kerala. In these cases and in these health loss and job loss, income could be considered as the safety net. Income could be considered as the safety net and the other against the health and income. As I have already discussed about, beyond the income, if we will provide the insurance against the food, health and income, it would be more advantageous or beneficial for the economy. Next is all about freedom of choice. UBI treat beneficiary as agent. Okay. So they have freedom where to make the expenditure. If they are making so, it is treated as the autonomy on behalf of citizen. You are giving income. Improvement in financial inclusion. Yes, you are upgrading their status as they will be holding. The more amount you are holding in your hand, the resources you are holding, it is giving you a kind of power. Like basic ingredient, if you have to make the establishment of development, basic ingredient comes from like power. And the power, like if you have power in your hand, it comes with the resources, capacity from the health and awareness. These four components should be there whenever you do talk about the developmental periphery. You should have money in terms of resources. If you have money, you would have more power. And this is relevant to the health. And this is relevant to the education. Okay. So financial inclusion, if you have more resources in your hand, you are considering yourself more powerful in comparison to the earlier status. And if you are making expenditure on the health, you are gaining somewhere in the productivity or capacity and making the awareness about the things around you. Okay, so these are the four parameters. And women empowerment, obviously pilot study of the universal if you are providing the income. In 8 villages, pilot study. In 2011, it has taken place in the 8 village in Madhya Pradesh for 18 months. And what you have reviewed out of this, Bharat and UNICEF concluded women empowerment was one of the more important outcome of the experiment. Whatever pilot study has been accommodated in MP, Madhya Pradesh, and out of those 8 village, you come to know about that. And you have stated or you have implemented that for 18 months. And what you come to know about it, that women empowerment has taken place, more important outcome of this experiment. Women has gained out of this UBI scheme, improved the access toward the food, healthcare and the education. What I have just talked about, it is raising the, if you are having more resources, you would become more powerful. It would be favorable for health and spreading the base for education. What are the arguments against? Obviously, you have to just tell the positives or negative. Both the things you have to just tell. Higher government expenditure. If UBI is universal, if UBI, which means all citizens regardless of their financial capacity, will widely existing rich and poor gap. If you are providing to all, it would be considered as it is increasing the gap between rich and poor. It should be given to the people who are really in need. Who are really in need. Should be given okay. Conspicuous spending, we are talking about household with lack of an awareness about fiscal management may spend on wasteful activities. Wasteful activities, this is the major concern we can talk about. As we are talking about the argument against reduction in the labor force, as it is not at all making contribution in the production, so losing the productivity and making the people lazy. Making the people lazy, spending on the factor which are not under work. Okay. Namaste. Increase the rate of inflation if we do talk about. Increase the rate of, as if we are giving the income, like UPI is being allocated to the people and everybody have resource to make demand. And if they have demand, it would raise the prices. So this is the point given here. Lack of connectivity channel between the government and beneficiaries. What we are talking about, as if we are strengthening the base of programs and the subsidies, various subsidies we do talk about. These kind of things, making the connectivity between the government, how government is serving through the schemes and all. If we are making the imposition of UBI, if we are making the imposition of UPI, it is just mitigating the gap, like it is just widening the gap between beneficiaries and the government. Center state negotiation on cost sharing for program could delay its implementation. Federal challenges would take place on cost sharing, could delay in, like if they do not have the access of resources, obviously it would take time to get launched or to make the transfer of the payments on regular basis due to the center state relations. So federal challenge you will get to see. What would be the way forward? What would be the way forward? Food for thought. Food for thought means UPI is powerful idea, as you would be given resources in your hand. This is up to you whether you want to use it or you want to waste it. This is totally up to you. Though you are gaining the right over the freedom, that you are free to use your resources on your own way as per your interest. Quasi universal basic income, it would be more prudent to take middle path and retain the existing in kind. Like you have to just treat it like supplement of other programs. Government should retain the earlier or the existing policy in kind program delivery necessities enhance the one's quality, but it is going to make huge burden on the government if we are not replacing it. Instead of replacing, we are providing the supplementary income to the people. Obviously, somewhere it would be a kind of unproductive uses of the resources, I would say, because it is not at all going towards the work and productivity, but on the criteria, but to the people who are not really working. You have to make them work somewhere. So, future of UPI across the uncompromised social safety. They are not compromising anywhere. They are getting the things for free, automatic. This technological change and automation is just declining the scope for the jobs, which is forcing the government to come up with such kind of programs and such kind of policies. So universal basic infrastructure on insurance, rather than jumping to UBI, focus should be on improving the infrastructure accessibility to the insurance. I have just let you know about this principle in the very first slide of the lecture. I have just let you know about the, instead of going towards the income. Like if we do talk about the income perspective, it is only universal basic income is only concerned about the poverty goal. But what we are talking about, being an economic student or being an economist, you need to make the connectivity between the, segments. If you are making connectivity, if you are working for the food security, if you are taking care of health, if you are concerned about the income, these both parameters are coming under the insurance, universal basic insurance. So it is not only workable, it is not only significant for eradicating the poverty, but also the hunger by providing the income security and improving the well-being of people by working on the health security. These are the three parameters are not only working for one segment, but complements are also available on the basis of this kind of policy. What we are also trying to talk about, that is, even if we are providing the insurance, again it is the burden on government. If you have to put the burden, you should put the burden in a way which could be profitable or which could provide return to you as well. You have to provide some kind of assistance to people, but you need to make your mind sure about the perspective they have to make. you should make people work, and then all only you have to provide income to them. And how would you do that? By providing the infrastructural base facility. And if you are providing the infrastructural basis, somewhere you are making contribution in the industrial sector, and they industrial sector have the capacity, industrial sector has the capacity to absorb more and more people. Absorb more and more people. So instead of doing work for the universal basic income, we should move towards the universal basic infrastructure or the insurance. So what we are trying to do over here is, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Like if you are providing the provisions, such kind of provisions to people, they will continue to take the advantage out of it. But the moment you are making, or if the moment you are teaching them, you are giving the workable condition to them, you are just making them self-reliant of, is it, if this is so, it would become the sustainable on basis. They are, on behalf of citizens, they are becoming self-sustainable, self-reliant. Self-reliant on behalf of government, it is losing the burden. It is losing the burden. So it would be profitable. It would be profitable, or it would be beneficial on both the sides if we are teaching them. Effective education is very, very necessary. You need to teach your, we need to teach our labor force so that they would have different scopes and eliminate the need for UBI. Getting my point? Because this is the most privileged part. This is on behalf of citizens. If you are providing anything that is for free, they will continue to have that till the time you are providing it. But there is no basis the moment you are stopping the basis for income. Getting my point? You have to make it sustainable. How can you make it? By teaching them. If you are making the people skilled, they will have different scope to work over. If they are working, they can make earning till the time they want it to happen. Okay, so you are making them self-reliant by just giving skill and just giving the awareness about the programs. Number 2 is, it is losing the burden of government, because burden of providing income, that is becoming huge, and it cannot continue to raise the burden till longer. The moment you are stopping, the moment they'll stop having the things, they'll stop receiving the basis for survival. Instead of providing income or food, you should provide the awareness. You should prepare the people to work so that they can, on their own, they can make their earning and food. So this was the point. We have to left in some way that we should not left with the need of having UBI. So guys, what we have studied so far about the lecture, UBI, and what is the important 15 and 16, you get to see this topic in news. And financial inclusion, you will get to see Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, mobile. This is all which is making the things accessible. And for on the basis of mains, you should be aware about the argument in favor of and against the UBI. As it has been asked, this is really so tough if you would be asked that what is the favorable approaches for eradicating the poverty from India on behalf of UBI. Critically analyze. If you are analyzing the fact, you have to just first of all put forward the current update if you have any. This is not only important from the point of view of productivity, but also for the employment opportunity. I am talking about the universal basic insurance, not about the income. Or it is it is only helpful for eradicating the poverty, but this is helpful not only for poverty but the health and the hunger, which are third and second goal of SDJ. And these are the like scenario which is there in the economy due to which job opportunity is missing, and we are getting forced to avail such kind of programs and universal basic income to the people. And economic survey, when this topic was in limelight in 2016 and 17, components, this should be periodic, individual basis, not no condition should be given, so that people could avail the facility easily. Next is all about why is there growing debate, because we are providing number of policies and the programs, subsidies to the people, which is going through even the leakages and the misallocation of the resources. Instead of providing that, we can move towards the universal income. But replacement could be the solution. But if we are trying to make the supplement along with those programs and subsidies, it could become so huge burden for government to provide the universal income. Getting my point? So next is all about what are the arguments. Social justice, yes, it is favoring all the citizens. It is if we are replacing, it is diluting the scale for misallocation and leakages. It has to just monitor the UBI, which is any day easier than the managing the number of schemes available for the poverty. And employment basis, yes, this is the responsibility of government to provide the minimum scale standard to the people as per the Article 43 of the Constitution. You should remind this. And this is leaving the people with the autonomy to accept or reject the work to work on the basis of working condition. Getting my point? They have full leverage over it. Next is the insurance against the attacks, like if you have suffered any loss, waterborne disease and a natural disaster, any day it is a relief or the safety net against these kind of pointers. Improvement in the financial inclusion. A financial inclusion, it is including more and more people. And if you have to make the development, if you have to make the things progressive in the economy, you need to undertake the financial inclusivity along. And 4 parameters you need to work, that is power comes with resources, which is building the capacity, and you have to make the awareness. Awareness would be there through education. What has been realized in MP by the pilot study in 8 villages for the 18 months, it has been realized that it is giving the autonomy in the hands of women, which is the most important outcome of experiment, and improve the access towards not only the resources but the healthcare and the education they get to see. These are the arguments against higher burden for the government, and it could be wasteful. And you are decreasing the poverty, making the people lazy, spending on the factor which are not under work. And inflation, obviously, if you are providing income, it is going to raise the demand. Aggregate demand is going to lead the increment in the prices. Connectivity channel is going down, and you will get to see different kind of diversification we do have in case of states. So very different features we will get to see in the UBI if you are establishing on it. And quasi-universal basic scheme you can just talk about. Along, it is asking to resume the practice of UBI, but as the supplement of a program. It would become more and more burdensome for the government. Next is about future of UBI across the globe. It is making the people dependent on the governments. Why is it so? As we are making a shift, not only on behalf of our economy, but globally, as we are shifting toward the artificial intelligence, which is not at all absorbing the labor policy, which is need of our, at least for the developing countries. So it is not only running on our domestic scenario but the international level. Instead of providing the universal basic income, we have to just generate the surrounding in that way, which could not only attract the people towards work, which is anyhow making the contribution in the productivity basis, which could make addition not only in growth but also in developmental role. So infrastructure and insurance would any day making sense to make expenditure on, which is going to work on sustainable basis but not on the shorter leg, in the way as the moment you have left this UBI policy, you are leaving the people on the basis of destiny. Getting my point? Instead of doing that, you have to create the awareness. You have to just making the people ready for their work by providing them training and all sets, which is making them self-reliant and losing the burden of government, which would be which is establishing the sustainable basis. So this is the one of the most important topic. So please guys, do not forget to download the Exampur app. Link is already given in the description box. And what all are benefits, I've already told you in the very starting, that you will get to see different free benefits out of the app, like PDFs would be given, live courses, live test series, mock tests are given, PYQs are available, and different daily, weekly news and all you will get to see. So do not forget to attend the lecture at the same time. And 9 to 10, this is for the economics, and 12 to 1, this is for the DNA daily news analysis. So economics, static portion, and daily news analysis, these are economic aware. So do not forget to attend this lecture. Have a great day to all of you. If you have any doubt, you can put forward in the comment box. Any doubt if you have.